Now, multiculturalism has failed in the UK, David Cameron said today in a speech tackling the threat of terrorism. The Prime Minister called for a stronger national identity, what he called muscular liberal defence of British values to prevent people turning to extremism. He said it was important to differentiate Islam and Islamist extremism. But his words angered many Muslim groups and came as far-right demonstrators marched through Luton, as Katie Razzle reports.
This was Luton this morning, the English Defence League staging the largest anti-Islamist demonstration in its short history.
Backward and sadistic Sharia law.
They say they're standing up against the tidal wave of Muslim ideology on the day David Cameron attacked Islamist extremism at a security conference in Munich.
Under the doctrine of state multiculturalism, we've encouraged different cultures to live separate lives apart from each other and apart from the mainstream.
The idea that as a nation we should celebrate and promote all cultures as equal evolved in the 70s as the number of immigrants grew. Tony Blair and Gordon Brown had a pop at multiculturalism in their time, talking up Britishness. David Cameron's rejection of it is emphatic. So what and who is the Prime Minister attacking? British society is clearly multiracial. David Cameron apparently arguing we've been too passive, too tolerant of extremism, that we must be more robust in fighting the case for British values.
We need to think much harder about who it's in the public interest to work with. Some organisations that seek to present themselves as a gateway to the Muslim community are showered with public money despite doing little to combat extremism.
Don't patronise me by saying we have showered you with money. That money didn't come from your own pocket. That came from the taxpayers' money, rightly and deservedly by those voluntary organisations who are providing good services. Extremist organisations are an enemy to everybody. But to deal with it and to sort them out and to challenge them, Mr. Cameron doesn't need to throw the baby with the bathwater.
We are disappointed, very disappointed in that some of the things that have been said, we do not recognise that have been happening. For example, the Muslim Council of Britain has very consistently and always rejected violence, rejected extremism, promoted harmony.
Not all British Muslims disagree with David Cameron, though. One of the 8 Muslim MPs in the UK believes in some ways his party got it wrong.
I agree with him. I made those points when we were in government, that there were organisations that we were funding that shouldn't have been funded because all they were looking to further isolate the Muslim community.
Abu Hamza is arguably the most high-profile figurehead for Islamist extremism, but this radical preacher's been in prison for years. Unlike in France, MPs haven't banned the burqa despite unease in some quarters. David Cameron today tapping into that unease, the fear that British identity has been lost. Some British Muslims may feel unfairly targeted. The Prime Minister, though, has a wider audience in his sights.